Langebaan, South Africa saw the inaugural downwind dash take place on the 17th of January. The 2009 event, which is now sponsored by Resolution, is the 23rd installment of this prestigious event.
Today is a unique event in that once a year, and for the last 24 years, there's been a race held at Langebaan where kites, windsurfers and hobie cats race in a downwind event over 20 kilometers. We're incredibly excited and privileged to be part of this very special event.
I'm the race director for the Resolution Downwind Dash. First dash was held in 1983. In those days it was a double-handed event. In fact, it was called the Saldanha Langebaan Double, because on the Saturday we had the dash, and on the Sunday we had a long-distance race from Saldanha to Langebaan and back again. It's now the 24th event.
In the past, I think we had 216 or something last year, and the year before was about 180. And so this year, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but just by the sheer volumes of people, it must be 300 people at least.
This year would see over 300 competitors start the race, making it one of the biggest events of this nature in the world. The event, which is open to any wind-driven craft, drew kite surfers and windsurfers alike from around the world. Although there were a few hobie cat entries, the real competition at the front would be kiter versus windsurfer.
I think the first 2 years that the kites were with us, windsurfers still won the event, but for the last 2 years it's been won by kiters.
The relatively new sport of speed kiting has surged ahead of the rest in the last 4 years, with the fastest outright wind speed record, as well as the 50-knot barrier, falling to the kiters in October last year.
I'm the first man to break 50 knots in Luderitz a few months ago.
My name is Alex Kezerg, I'm from France. I'm the fastest sailor in the world. I set the outright world record last year in 2008.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of rivalry between the kite surfers and the windsurfers. For a long time, the windsurfers were known as maybe the fastest sailing craft in the world, and then along come the kite surfers. There was a little bit of controversy around how they got the world title. It stands, and for them, I'm super impressed with it. For either of us to have the world record, it's great.
Yeah, the downwind dash is basically the first, for me, the first competition of the year.
With higher wind speeds favouring the windsurfers, and with a slight change to the course, combined with a very strong international field at this year's event, it was anyone's guess who'd take the coveted trophy.
I think it's been 2 or 3 years now that the kiters have been winning, but yeah, in this kind of wind, we're hoping the windsurfers will show their colours again, put the kiters in their place.
Tough race with the windsurfers. Usually the windsurfer gets stuck in the middle because it's close to the harbour, it's like a big wall. So every time we pass the windsurfer at that point. But this time, if they change the course, I have no idea what's going to happen, and so it's going to be really an adventure over there.
Starting from Pearly Beach in the centre of Langebaan, the course heads out right across the lagoon to the first buoy just outside the military base, then back on a starboard tack to buoy number 2, just off Calypso Beach at Club Mykonos. The third, and by far the most grueling tack, takes the riders on a 10-kilometre port tack diagonally downwind. Once around the fourth and final buoy, it's the home straight up onto the beach at the Saldanha Boat Club, after a ride of approximately 20 kilometres.
It's a race between kites and boards, so we don't distinguish. The first one home is the winner, irrespective of what craft he's got on.
I'm a professional windsurfer from Holland. I think we do have a good chance in these conditions, especially with the new course now. The main objective is to beat the kiters, so.
It's my 6th year competing, and so far I've been winning most of the time, so I've got a title to uphold, and I'm very, very excited because today is the most extreme conditions I've ever seen for the race.
I'm Gemma Globala. I'm from South Africa, Cape Town. Currently competing on the PKRA, the Speed Tour. Competition. My best friend, but yeah, so we're going to be at loggerhead.
I'm Aaron Hadlow from England, 20 years old, 5 times freestyle world champion of kiteboarding. Here in Langebaan for the Downwind Dash. It's a local event here in South Africa. Yeah, it's just good to be a part of it really. Loads of people from all the kiting and windsurfing all enter together. and it's just one big race for like 20 kilometers. So I'm sure we'll see some carnage. It's going to be good fun.
With the Cape Southeaster blowing as ever, winds up to 35 knots, and rider safety being of the utmost concern, the race director would have to decide on whether or not to proceed with the event.
Well, it's looking very, very strong today. There's a big swell. It's about a 3-meter swell out there. Very choppy. We reckon that 35 knots is probably the cutoff. Gets above 35 knots, there's always the chance that we have to call it off and run it tomorrow.
It's blasting today. It's going to be absolutely carnage out there. It's just so windy.
I think this year is really, really strong. Huh?
Imagine having up to 300 kites out on the water at one time.
It's looking horribly windy.
The conditions are looking scary, man. It reminds me of Port St. Louis. It's really, really strong winds. It looks really, really choppy as well. And there are a few big boats in the harbour as well, which is a bit scary. I don't want to get like entwined, but otherwise it looks really good.
All things considered, it was given the green light at the skippers' meeting, where all riders were briefed on the race rules and safety procedures.
When we have our skippers' meeting, I'm going to advise those who are not so fit to really think very hard about whether they're going to enter or not, because it's going to be a very, very rough race.
We've got some of the top 6 slalom racers in the world. They're going to be competing, windsurfers against kite surfers. We've got stand-up paddle surfers. We've got a Hobie cat with a kite strapped to it. We've got the best on the planet. We've got juniors, we've got men, we've got ladies. We're going to rock and roll. Should be a great day.
I'm 14 years old. I've been riding. This is going to be my 3rd season now. If I start at the end of the season, it's going to be my 3rd season. At the moment, I'm looking at Oswald Smith and Colin Henkelroth. Very, very good riders. Definitely my top competitors.
My name is Oscar Armstrong and I'm 11 years old. Today we are going to be doing the downwind dash. We're going to start here at Pearlie's and we're going to end at Saldanha. This is my first time. I'm pretty psyched about going for it. It's really strong, but I think I'm going to go in a directional with a 5.
Riders are followed by both jet ski, boat and plane to ensure that assistance is on hand should they need it.
From the organisation side, I can tell you we have 4 yachts out there which act as marker boats, and we have 10 rescue craft. Safety of the competitors is really of prime importance, and we really try to make sure that we do look after everybody.
I'm the safety pilot. I'll be flying the aircraft which will basically look after the search and rescue.
The first 2 legs are not too bad. Then there's a leg that runs from the beach near Club Mykonos across to the ore jetty, and that's a real rough one. So people are feeling a bit tired, they should stop at Mykonos and not try the rest perhaps.
We've got flares basically that we can shoot down, smoke flares we can drop. We have a life raft as well that in extreme situations the guy gets sucked out the mouth, and that we can drop a life raft to him. But our primary role would be to guide the rescue craft onto the stricken guy, just to basically oversee from the air.
Although hotly contested at the front of the field, the race attracts many social and fun riders of all ages, and there's a great sense of community.
My name today is Jack Sparrow on the seas. I'm going to carve these little pretty boys to pieces.
Langebaan 2009 Downwind Dash, Team Preenie, and today we're going to see if we can brave these conditions. We're looking at winds up to 30 knots, and we're hoping to beat the Pirates. If we can beat the Pirate Man.
No, my plan is to just have some fun.
The good thing about it that everyone in kiteboarding comes together basically, whether it's just an average guy down the beach having fun or some guy doing some waves or freestyle, everyone comes together and it's real communal and it's just a good laugh really, you know.
He's ready. Heard he's got a bite. Looks nasty, more than nasty. 6, 7 or maybe a 5 even.
I've got strong legs, I haven't been walking for 2 months.
It's an achievement. Start out in the sport, learn in one of the schools, and then a couple months later take part in the world's biggest kite and windsurf race.
With hundreds of kites in the air at any given time at the start, a long string of windsurfers waiting on the shore, and several Hobie cats waiting to go, the start was not only a kaleidoscope of colour, but also a testament to the professionalism and skill of the riders in managing to keep their kites and equipment under control in difficult circumstances.
The hardest part's definitely the start and picking the right equipment for the race.
The start, yeah, you must just be careful with the other kites. I actually thought of using 20-meter lines so I can dodge in between everyone.
Be out of there first. Main objective, get out of there.
Well, I'm going to stay well clear of the kiters on the start.
The start's going to be the hardest, just to stay clear of any accidents, any tangle-ups, so
Get out of there, be first.
I think that's the hardest. Once you pass that, obviously, it's quite hard with the boys because you're going to be going one way and people are going to be turning to come the other one.
We start off in packs of 80. So at the start it can be very daunting. You must watch for yourself and other guys' kites.
For me, the biggest thing is just to see where the fast guys are going and try to follow them as much as I can, stick to their line, because normally they have a more efficient course, because a lot of people zigzag up and down and waste some time. So I'm going to try and keep it real.
Right after the start, you want to come back, eh?
Because we had so many entries last year, congestion at the start was a big problem, and also around the first mark. So instead of setting off 200 and more boards and kites together, we've split them up and we're going to have a number of starts, 80 competitors for each start.
Apart from a couple of early starters in the first batch, the four groups of riders went off very well without any kite tangling or any other major incidents.
The start went really well. I started a bit further downwind. The windsurfers kind of got away pretty well, able to stay in front of most of the kite surfers.
The race out to the first buoy saw the riders hit peak speeds of 30 to 35 knots, which is equivalent to about 70 kilometers an hour. Rounding the first buoy, the top windsurfers and kiters were already in close contest.
It's actually quite a bit downwind of the other guys, which was an advantage because the first mark was quite far down, you know, so it actually worked out good for me to be further down.